Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Sips and Scripts, the podcast that brings things together. Oh, sorry. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Sips and Scripts, the podcast that brings together the best of both worlds, cocktails and movies. We'll dive into all-time favorite films or explore the latest releases and pair it with a delicious cocktail while sharing our thoughts, opinions, and some fascinating behind-the-scenes trivia. My name is Terrell Bernard, and I watch movies.
Hi, I'm Kayla Rose, and I'm an entertainment blogger at InMyTheater.com.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Jackson, and I'm a blogger and cocktail influencer at LowCountrySocialite.com. Welcome to the show.
Yes,
Welcome.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm cool.
I'm cool. That's the best you can do, T-Rex?
It's been a 2024, so yeah. But I'm cool.
Yeah. Kayla, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Chilling. Can't complain.
Good. Okay. Well, today we are talking about The Help, which has been on our list for quite a while, and we're finally getting around to it.
Right.
Yep. So, but before we get started, Kayla, what's your history with this film?
I probably watched this maybe twice. The first time it came out, I remember it being really, really good. And then I feel like I might have watched it one more time just as like a repeat, and I haven't watched it in a very, very long time. So,
Gotcha. Terrell, what about you? What is your history with this?
I have zero history with this film. I have heard of it, and I was like, that sounds like a nice little film. And then I was like, I don't feel like watching it. To watch a movie like that, I have to be in the mood to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Like that ain't a movie you just be like, grab your popcorn, let's get it cracking. Like,
yeah,
that's like a sit there and think, like Martin Luther King looking out the window or something like that. It's
not Martin Luther King looking out the window.
So much to unpack with everything you just said. Get your popcorn and get it cracking. Let's start there.
I mean, you know, sometimes it's a flick. You know, it's like, okay, I know I'm gonna have a good time with this. Just sit back, turn my brain off, and just watch. Like this one, it's heavy. It's a lot of heavy situations going on in the film, and it's like I have to be prepared mentally to get myself into a mood to watch that type of film.
Fair enough. Absolutely. This is the type of movie where you be like, okay, the next day, do I need to take off work? Because I'm real mad and I really cannot be around others. So, yeah. Well, my history with the film is I actually saw it in the movie theaters. I remember there was like a lot of promo around the film, and I was like waiting for it to come to theaters. I was really excited about it. And I can't remember why.
Was it the award buzz? Because I know this movie had a lot of Academy Award buzz.
I think
coming out.
I think what it was that, like, the movie, the way that they first started doing the promos and like the little trailers and stuff, it did not lead me to believe that it was as racially charged as it was. Like, it really felt like it was a movie where it was like some middle class rich white women, and it was like a kind of behind the scenes kind of thing, like this a story about their maids poking fun at them and just being a little funny and quirky. So I was like, oh, this sounds like it'll be really funny and really cute. And then when I saw it, I was,
yeah, that was not it at all.
I feel like I remember them marketing this almost like a comedy.
Yeah, I remember. And like anyone who's seen like movies about maids or like even TV shows about maids, because when you think about the Jeffersons, Florence was the funniest. I mean, other than, Sherman Hemsley's character, like George, But it was Florence that was like the funny, like, you know, the maid or like the domestic worker is always the funny person. Like even in The Nanny, like Niles and Fran were the comic relief. So if that's what I felt like the movie was going to be. And then yeah.
Somebody tricked you.
Yeah, I was kind of tricked. So, but let's have a 60-second recap challenge. And since it's my movie pick, I am challenging Terrell.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
I like to keep you on your toes. So here we go.
This is going to be less than 60 seconds. It is going to be.
Oh, you got to take the full 60 seconds. And I want a full recap.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Oh, wait a minute. Don't butcher this.
It's about to get butchered.
Oh, Lord. Well, we're going to put 60 seconds on the clock.
All right.
And here we are. When the timer goes, you can start, Terrell.
Let's get it.
Where's it's still, I was like, is she frozen?
No. All right. This movie, The Help, is about a group of African-American domestic workers in Jackson, Mississippi. They are raising and helping out. Well, not helping. They're working for the white women in that city, and they are it's racially charged times. This is during the civil rights movement. Things are going on. There's systematic racism everywhere. And there's one mutual friend of the Help, I guess, as you want to call him that, Skeeter, who is trying to be an author. So she exploits these women down in Jackson, Mississippi, to get them to tell their story and get them into trouble with their their families, and possibly get them ostracized or injured by the police. And she's doing all this all for her own personal gain, but in the end, hoping that she's able to help them because her.
Not right.
Oh,
keep going.
No.
That's not what.
Don't give that Negro another second to butcher.
What you mean? Was I wrong? Is that not what happened?
No, you're not wrong. And and that's the reason why I chose you, because I knew that you would do a recap from a place of pure hatred, and I really appreciate that about you. It's one of my favorite things about you.
I'm just saying what I saw. That's what I saw. It was like, I can't get a job. Wait a minute. Oh, help me out, Negroes.
Which one of you Negroes can help me get a job? It was real rub your hands together in an evil way.
Yeah, but she was like, but I'm nice with it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, dang it. Okay. Let's have a cocktail. How about that?
Sounds good. What we drinking?
Okay. So today, I was trying to think like what, the main part of this film, or not the main part, but like the biggest part of this film was that damn chocolate pie, right? So I'm not going to make y'all a cocktail with shit in it, but
please don't.
I thought about it, but so we're going to make a chocolate margarita.
Okay. Woo-hoo. Interesting.
So this is my first time making this, so let me pull up my trusty recipe. But we are going to start with our cocktail shaker. I'm using my clear one. I might need to turn off my little background thing. Can y'all hear and see me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so got my shaker, and we are going to fill it with ice. So there's ice all over my desk now, but that's all right. All right, and so we are going to start with 1.5 ounces of tequila. Today we're using Prospero. I use them a lot. And we are going to do 1.5 ounces of tequila in our shaker. And then we are going to do an ounce of chocolate liqueur, if I don't drop the damn bottle. And then we are going to do 3/4 ounce of cream, like whipping cream or half and half. But I have that, but I will also have this, which is the Tippy Cow vanilla soft serve liqueur. I was like, I think I'll like that better. So I'm going to do a whole ounce of it because why not? Yeah, that's like my only reason. Why not? And we're going to do dang, I'm noisy today. A tablespoon of chocolate syrup.
Okay.
And because this is pretty thick here, I'm going to have to give it a pretty good shake, which is fine. And the last ingredient is an ounce of triple sec because the orange flavor is a component of margarita. So we have a triple sec and we have it in all the ingredients in our shaker. Put the top on and give it a good shake. We're gonna have to shake pretty hard because of that syrup in here, but that's okay. All right. Ooh, it looks all chocolatey and good. All right, so I did not use a margarita glass. I just use a regular cocktail glass. And it is rimmed with Oreo crumbs.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, are you sure that thing?
Sure it ain't a mini pie? No. So we're going to pour it into our shaker, and now we have a chocolate margarita for our movie. Oops, sorry, hit the mic.
Cool. All right. What does it taste like? I need to know.
Deliciousness. Tastes like melted ice cream.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Good. So, yes. The recipe will be up on Instagram later. And it's also on our Facebook Live. So if you want to make it at home, that's pretty good. So yeah, let's get into our film. The Help is a 2011 period drama. Did y'all think it was a drama, or maybe that's my first question? Did y'all feel it was a drama or a comedy or a dramedy? What did y'all think? And what do you think?
Comedy.
What do they classify it as? I don't even know. Let's see. What do
They say it's a drama, but I was like, there were some funny points, and I feel like that was on purpose.
I don't. This is a very interesting movie because I don't feel like it was a drama. Drama gives very dramatic for what this was, but comedy gives very like not what this was too. Yeah, so it's like very much in between. But I guess if you had to pick one, I guess you would go with the drama. But
I'm gonna stick with dramedy, whatever.
Yeah.
Really? I don't know. I guess I miss comedy when I see it.
They did have comedic moments for sure.
Definitely
it was not like ha ha laugh out loud comedy, but they did have like the characters were supposed to be a little funny. Like the lady who was in charge. Like it was an over dramatized representation of like the women and stuff like that, even though they probably do act like that in everything. But like even if you think about the lady who was trying, I think Hilly, whatever, who was trying to pass that all the slaves had to have their own whatchamacall, like she was meant to kind of be funny, but also be an ass.
Yeah.
Right. Kelly, you call them slaves?
I'm sorry. Is that what
I didn't catch it. Kayla.
might as well have been. I mean, you was getting paid,
but they was getting paid.
there was not much different.
I mean, it wasn't too far from the truth.
Yeah, it was not far removed at all. They were maids, but they were, them folks didn't want them to use the bathroom in their house. Like,
which was crazy to me. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, the only thing they weren't doing was be in the field. They were technically.
This is our second film with Kayla and maids, and Kayla calling them slaves. So y'all remember Sweet Home Alabama? The maid at the Carmichael plantation. Kayla was convinced that she was a slave, and she didn't care.
But she had been there long enough. She probably was, and they didn't even know it.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, she was getting paid 20-something cents. Yeah, no, you.
Yeah, you might be a slave. You only get paid 20 cents.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, so the film is actually based on a novel. Did you guys know that?
I heard that.
This novel was on the bestseller list for like over a year. The New York Times bestseller list.
Really?
Mm-hmm. By Catherine Stockett. And the novel they made the film pretty quick because the novel was not released until 2009, or written, 2009. And then the movie came out 2 years later. So, yeah.
Interesting. How fast that was made.
Yes, isn't that interesting? We'll talk about it. So it had an ensemble cast, including Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Bryce Dallas Howard, Octavia Spencer, Jessica Chastain, Allison Janney, and I'm gonna say her last name right, Janney. She was on that show Mom, and I really like her. I think she's hilarious. And also Sissy Spacek.
You watch a lot of shows I ain't never heard of.
That show was like super popular, Mom. Oh my goodness!
When did this come out?
It's relatively new.
Oh, it's a new show.
Yeah.
It's still out. Oh
no, I don't think it's out anymore, but it's like probably gone off the air like within the last couple of years. But
okay.
Yeah. So, but this film and the novel is basically the story of a young white woman and aspiring journalist named Skeeter. And the story focuses on her relationship with her maid, but more currently 2 Black maids, Aileen and Minnie, during the Civil Rights Movement and during the Jim Crow South of 1963, Jackson, Mississippi.
So that's the worst place to be in 1963.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Yes.
That was crazy. If you could have been anywhere else in the United States, you might have been all right.
You might have been all right. You're not wrong. Okay. And you're not wrong. But yeah, so the movie is basically kind of an attempt to expose racism through this journalistic adventure, but it kind of misses the mark, and we'll talk about that too. But yeah, but it basically it's about Black domestic workers in the 1960s America, referred to as the help, hence the title. And yeah, so let's get into it. So, Terrell.
Yes.
Are you ready to share your thoughts? Because I feel like you're like brimming.
Oh, I mean, my. I don't know. Do you? Okay, I do have a question.
Okay.
Do you
I do
feel?
not have an answer, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure you don't. Do you feel they tried to? Do you feel they tried to make it to where it was light because of what they were talking about? Do you think they tried to incorporate comedy instead of just having it something naturally funny happen? Because some of the things it seemed like it was kind of like we need to insert a laugh here. We need to insert something whimsical or funny here, so it's not as heavy. Because I was looking at who made it. It's distributed through Disney. You know, Disney is not about people having a bad time, unless you work for them. But
Mr. Mouse, he didn't mean what he said. He didn't mean what he said, Mr. Mouse.
Because even if you look back to movies like they did, like Red Tails, about the Tuskegee pilots, like it's supposed to be like I'm pretty sure it was a lot harder than Disney made it look. It made it look fun, like they were just out there flying, having a good time. When you know good and well it was hard as hell out there.
You're not wrong.
Well, sure.
You have an answer to your question before we answer?
I think they try to incorporate forced comedy, and I don't think it. I think if they would have just played it straight and just funny moments could have happened, that would have been a little more genuine than what they tried, which was it's getting a little heavy. Let's make something light happen here. Let's make something funny happen here. I think if they would have just told the story the way it should have been told, then it would have been just fine. Because I mean, not everything is going to happen in a movie that's going to be funny or humorous or anything like that. Because I mean, these people, like as you can see, as the movie goes on, they're going like it's a rough time. Like one lady, she couldn't get another job. Like these people, they lie on you, they say whatever they're gonna say, and then you're just supposed to just deal with it because what else can you do? Like she said, like Viola Davis's character, she was like, she grew up in this, like her great grandmother, mother, all of them worked in the house. And that's all she's ever known. So I mean, if that's all you ever know, and she was born in what, 1911 or something like that, like fresh out of slavery. So it's like, I don't know. I just think they should have been more serious. I would have rather had a more serious take on such a serious issue, in my opinion.
Yeah. This was like The Help. I'm not The Help. This is The Help. This was like what's the up movie, y'all, with the black people and the NASA.
Oh, Figures, Hidden Figures.
Yeah, Hidden Figures. This was like Hidden Figures, like written in the same veil of Hidden Figures, where it's like you have this serious story, but they're also trying to be funny. And ain't it the same people almost?
Yeah,
almost like it's all. It was that we are gonna try. Disney should not have made this movie. Number one, if they were trying to make it be a good movie, it should not have been a Disney movie. Just because it's not. This is the lane that old Disney movies used to take. I believe, like back in the day, they had like a lot of heavier, hittier, but it's not the Disney Channel movies that people think of. Disney had like a whole different realm of movies way back when, and I think they tried to bring that back a little bit, and it's been so far away from their brand that they should have gave this to someone else and would have done a better job at getting their point across. Because it, like, the shit pie was probably the funniest thing that ever happened in the entire movie, so that means the rest of it just kind of fell flat. So
right.
Well, I kind of have a layered answer. Okay, so Disney doing this movie, I know, like in the history of Disney, like they have kind of always tried to tackle race, but they do it in this real whimsical, lighthearted way to where it's not really taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what I was saying earlier when we opened up, the marketing surrounding this movie did not really convey the type of movie that it was going to be. And I feel like I understand why that was done, but I also feel like that was definitely a cop out where it's like, okay, we want to attract all different audiences and not just make this a race film. So I get it, but it's also like a missed opportunity to really like dive deep into some of the like issues that were surrounding like the Jim Crow South era.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the few films that is told from a woman's perspective, because when we look at race films, it's really like a male perspective. But when it comes to the civil rights movement as a whole, women were really like the backbone of that movement. Like they really worked hard within that movement. It was a collaborative effort.
Right.
And I feel like I could say that, maybe they just accidentally missed the mark. Maybe they were trying to do this whimsical film, and they thought they were going to hit certain, key points, but they just fell flat. But when I look at the marketing, like I said before, choices were made. And one very obvious choice to me is that when you think of this movie, if anyone were to ask you, what color would you associate with this movie? It is yellow, which is this bright, happy color. And it was all over the marketing. Like everything is just yellow. Even like the overlay of the film, it's like yellow, and to kind of like give it this vintage feel, but it is obviously yellow marketing, the yellow video, like the film itself. And it was bright and sunny. But when you think about other race films, like A Time to Kill, even though it is an older film, so yeah, the video quality is going to be a little different, but it was still more like a very grimy, gritty film, because the South at that time was grimy and gritty.
Mm-hmm.
So like to me, this was a very like glossed over adaptation of how things were for domestic workers in the South. And I think that the choice to make it a comedy or a dramedy was deliberate, but it also made these women's experience feel like it was just a little racism. It's no big deal. It's just a little racism. But the fact that these women were sharing these stories, like sharing with the world what is going on inside of someone's private home, like these white homes, it put their lives in danger.
Right.
It was dangerous. What they were doing, it wasn't frowned upon. It was actually illegal by the standards set by Mississippi law.
Right.
So these women could have been, obviously, yeah, because, somebody racist could come and kill them or lynch them. But if that didn't happen, they could have legitimately been put in jail. They could have been put in prison because it was illegal. It wasn't just, oh, we don't like it. No, it was the law that was set in the state of Mississippi. And they took a huge risk. And I do like that the film did this thing where it was like, Skeeter, the main character, she was like, oh, I want to write a book, and just went to the maze. It could have been like, well, it's scary, but okay. But they turned her down at first. And it made her.
They should have kept turning her ass down.
That part. But it made her go back to the drawing board and actually look up law, look up, articles on things that have happened to colored people who have tried to vote, to do simple things like to vote, or to stand up for each other. Their houses were set on fire. They were set on fire. Like they were shot in front of their children. Like it was a very chaotic time. And it was like they mentioned that fact, but they just kind of glossed over, like
Mhm.
it's just a little racism. It's just a little.
I have another quick question.
All
How
right.
do you think, because these movies go out into the world, how do you think that makes people think of this time around the world when they see a film like this, where it's not really taking it that serious, where it's not really that bad, they're not really showing how it really was during that time? Do you think that's like a mistake to have something like that go out and it's not being really covered the way it should be, since it is being consumed worldwide, because it's had a worldwide box office of 200 million? So I mean, a lot of people around the world saw this film.
Yeah. Who you posing your question to, or do you have an
Either
answer?
one, doesn't matter. Either one. I think, but to me, I believe it is problematic because people in other countries, they get a lot of the information about the United States. Either most people don't watch the news or read newspapers; they get it from films. So when you watch a film, it's so easy to just be like, "Oh, that's what was going on during that time." Oh, they made it seem so bad, but it was okay. They didn't die.
Mhm.
Yes.
But in all actuality, like, it was
Some of
10
them did
times
though.
worse. Exactly.
Some of them did.
I
So
think that I'm pretty much, and I don't know, because for me, I'm just over it. Like I don't know how many more times we have to put a movie out that covers this era, because we have seen it all, from the really, really, heavy stuff to you trying to make light of it, and being light of it is not good either. Like telling the truth about this part is great. But then who wants to see that also?
Right.
And so I think if it's not, telling people stories like that we just haven't heard, I'm not super interested. Like that's the reason I didn't go see The Color Purple, and I mean I probably will watch it when it comes to whatchamacall, but I didn't need to see a musical rendition of The Color Purple. Like I don't need to see a musical rendition of anybody's story anymore. Like I know the stories, I know what they are. Put money into documentaries with like the living people who went through that era. Like let's do that. Like I would rather see something like that happen, where we're capturing the stories of folks who lived through those eras, the children who grew up after the folks who lived through. Like I would rather see that than see any more adaptations of a story that we've all heard before. Because all they do is remake stuff that we have all heard about before.
Mm-hmm.
well, I agree to a certain extent. I feel like that there is a need for stories like this. But one of the things that was kind of upsetting about this one is that, like I said earlier, this was a different perspective. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Because we hear we have to acknowledge like the skewed education that we get in schools. Like, yeah, we all grew up knowing about Martin Luther King, but not about many other people in the civil rights movement. But they were all almost overwhelmingly men, except for Rosa Parks, and that was it. And so I feel like, okay, we get the help, and it's like this really unique perspective, but you just did nothing with it. It really could have showed that, because we don't get like okay, like when it comes to assassinations, we know about Martin Luther King, and we know about Medgar Evers, and we know about Malcolm X. We don't know about Martin Luther King's mother also being assassinated. So like there are things that we just don't know when it comes to women. And we know about Rosa Parks, and then she lived happily ever after. And it's like
stuff that we don't know is what I was getting at. Like
exactly, like I
think about stuff we don't know.
Yeah, totally. And that's why I was like happy to see this film, making the rounds, but like once you start peeling back like the layers and getting deeper into it is severely problematic. But that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with race films being made, because I do feel like we do need to know more about that era. But also like what Kayla was saying, also yes, learning some new things, and maybe more documentaries where we learn more about the actual person instead of like a glossed over comedy film. Because, and even though this film is 100% fiction, like it still highlighted actual experiences, just not in the way that we as Black people know that they were. Like, so, but to answer Terrell's question about is it problematic, I think it is, in such that, like you said, the way that other countries learn about America is through media, through our magazines, through our social media, through our movies, our films, and our TV shows. And I keep going back to it, but this movie was really like, oh yeah, it was kind of hard, just a little racism, but everybody lived and everybody lived happily ever after, and it was just a really great experience. It was hard, but just a little racism, and so but everybody was fine. And that's not not the truth. And also like, because I'm reminded of this experience, which I think I have talked about on this show before. Like, it's well known in the Black community that Black Americans and Africans do not get along. And the reasoning that or the explanation that I have read about was that like when like Africans aren't really taught about civil rights. They know about slavery and how that was messed up, but then after that, slaves were emancipated, and then after that,
they didn't do nothing.
yourself up by your bootstraps, and but they don't really know about Jim Crow and the civil rights and racism. Like they're not really taught that. So when they are taught these things, it is through media such as like this movie. And it's inaccurate. It's just an inaccurate adaptation of how things actually were. So I do think that it is misguided. So, but yeah, and I think like going into one of the most problematic things about this film was that we're given this, it's almost like here's this gift of the story through the eyes of the help, but it's not.
No,
it is the story through the eyes of Skeeter, the white woman, and the protagonist of this film. She is the main star, and she is the voice of it. And even though there were some things that they did get right in the beginning, we hear Abelin's voice, and then we end. It's like bookmarked with her voice, and it ends with her voice. But all of the middle stuff is like jumbled up, but mainly it is the main character's voice. So, Terrell, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it seemed, and a lot of movies do that, like where it's like, okay, we're going to tell you a story about what happened during this time with Black people and how things affected them, but we can't settle with just these Black folks. You got to have a white person come in and save the day or help out or get our story told, or it's always something extra that needs to be done by them to help us along to make, I guess, make it a happy ending for us.
It honestly was true if you think about it. Like there was no way for us to really tell our stories without a white person taking a chance. It's very, almost very poetically correct. Like they couldn't do anything different because that's really the only way it would have gotten done. They were going to do it on their own for sure. So if they didn't have this white writer come in and say, hey, I want to do these stories, then the story would have never gotten done. However, I still think it could have been presented in a different way. Like, hey, I meet with this lady to talk about our stories, and like it could have given the background of, who Skeeter is, and it could have been like, I'm going home every day, and this is what I see at my maid's friend's house and stuff like that. But they didn't decide to do that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay, I totally agree with that. They definitely could have told this movie through the lens of the two, Viola Davis and Spencer, Octavia Spencer.
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, they could have told that story through their eyes and just had help from Skeeter instead of this being Skeeter's thing, where it's like, well, I need a job and I can't get a job unless I do this, and I'm helping y'all, so y'all need to help me.
Hidden Figures kind of did that route. Like, you saw it through their eyes versus, I think you saw it through Taraji's eyes for the most part, than the people who were helping them. Like, they did it very, very good. Because it could have been also told from the white guy who was ahead of everything, who had to take the chance on them, quote unquote. It could have been told from his perspective, but it wasn't. And I think they could have adapted that for this movie. It could have been told from Minnie and Aileen's perspective. But
that's one of the reasons why I kind of wish that this movie was made after Hidden Figures, because I feel like white audiences and white movie makers were able to see where, yes, you can tell a film from a Black perspective and it still reach all audiences, because that movie did very well. And I think it's a movie that is going to be like long lasting, because at the very least, teachers are going to show it to their students, because it is a learning film. So, and in that film, in Hidden Figures, we were able to see like Catherine, like Taraji's character. We saw her home life. We saw her raising her children. The other two women, we saw their home life. Not so much Octavia Spencer's home life, but the character played by Janelle Monáe. We saw her home life and her trying to get into classes. This film, the only time we really saw their home life was when Skeeter was at their home getting their stories.
Right.
Yep.
And I, for one, wanted to know more about Minnie and Leroy, because Leroy was his abusive husband, and like Minnie had all those kids, which wasn't unheard of at that time. But like, she was raising these kids and then also raising Sugar, the oldest one, to be a maid herself. That could have been a key component to this story, because one of the main things was how most of the maids, their mothers were maids, their grandmothers were maids, their great grandmothers were house slaves. Like, that could have been a major component to this story, but no, we wasted. I won't say wasted, but we spent a lot of time in the white homes learning about like, the their parenting and all of that stuff, and it was like, well,
the lack of
yes.
Like I said, hugs her child once a day. Like,
so
baby,
right.
See.
So my question for you guys is, can white people be trusted to tell our stories? And my answer is not most of the time, no. Because like, even just with this film with Skeeter, I don't think that her sharing the stories of these maids came from a genuine place of, oh, I want to help. Unless she was talking about herself, she wanted to help herself.
Yes, and she
did. She wanted something that was going to shake the tables a little bit. And matter of fact, I don't even think she thought it was going to shake the tables as much as as much as it did. I don't think she even anticipated that. Not until she got into the thick of it and was like, oh, okay, this might be controversial. Okay. But she wanted to help herself. And it was very, very obvious, because at the end of the film, she does do this thing where it's like, well, things have gotten pretty bad. I can't leave you guys. And all it took was for them to be like, girl, it's fine, go. And she was, New York.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because she was out of there. She was out of there. Like, you wrote that book, got your little deal. Your mama went and got you a wardrobe, and you was out of here. First thing, smoking.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. So it was very obvious who gained the most and who lost the most.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because so a little more of my history with the film. To me, this movie is like my number one prime example of your favorite films can still be extremely problematic. Like, did you ever get in the comment sections of like Facebook and people be like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. I love this movie. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
your favorite movies can still be problematic. I actually, when I saw this in the movie theater, I loved it. I thought it was charming. I thought it was entertaining. And I was like, oh, that's a different perspective from the perspective of the help. So, but then it was like, once I started like I said earlier, peeling back the layers, I was like, oh, okay, now I kind of, yeah, it's not so great. But as far as it being a movie, I did enjoy it. It was entertaining. So yeah, but I enjoyed it so much that I read the book. So
Okay.
yeah, I read the book.
What
And
are the differences? 'Cause
huh?
I'm sure there are differences. What's the main difference between the book and the film?
The book actually is pretty much the film. It was like they adapted the movie from the book, like the same lines, the same scenes and everything.
Wow.
The only few differences that I remember, because I read the book in 2011, yeah, when the movie came out. The only difference is that Minnie and Leroy, they really talked about how abusive he was, and because we only see in the film like once where he beat on her, but he was an abusive husband. She did leave him. Well, she did leave him in the end of the movie, but they talked about how she kind of struggled leaving him. Like she had to go sleep on her sister's couch for a while, and so they talked about that a little bit. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because in the movie it was like she left him, and that food she ate gave her courage. It's like, okay. So, and then another difference was the food that Jessica Chastain's character, Celia Foote, she did not learn how to cook like Minnie. She did make a meal at the end, but it was really fucked up and burnt and gross. But she tried. Another difference was, to me the biggest difference was at the end. So the movie kind of leaves everything kind of open-ended, like these Aibileen just went off into the sunset to find her destiny. No. One thing she did do was, remember the column that Skeeter was writing, the domestic maintenance column?
Mm-hmm.
The Jackson Journal gave Minnie the job. I mean, not Minnie the job, Aibileen the job, and she wrote for them.
Okay. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I understand them not putting that in the film because that would have been a flat out lie, because ain't no way they would have gave her that damn column.
Nope. Not at all.
So, but yeah, that's, and it's been, like I said, like over 12 years ago that I've read this movie, so it's been a while. But those are like the most notable or memorable differences that I could think of. But other than that, the movie was basically like the novel. So
gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so what do you guys think is the main message of this film?
Maids had it bad, and white women are crazy. I feel like that was the whole thing. I mean, that's, if you look at how they set up the movie, they set it up to show that the women really were hella problematic. The men were dumb and also problematic. And the Black folks had sense, but unfortunately had to work for the dumb, problematic white people. Like, that's like literally what the movie was set up to be. Like, y'all don't know how to do shit. Y'all have to rely on Black people, but still call yourselves inferior. That's basically what the movie was. Like, y'all don't see, y'all is dumb, y'all is not kind, y'all is not important, but you want to treat the people who are kind, smart, and important bad. That was the movie.
All right. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Hey.
That's right. You heard it here first. Kayla said, "You is not kind, and you is not important,
and you is not smart,
and you is not smart." That's right. That's right. So here we are.
What was the question again?
Kayla answered it so hard that it's not the question out of my brain.
The question out of my brain. That was a really good answer.
Oh, what do I think was the main message? But you know what? I want you. I want you to go back to my initial question, which I forgot to get y'all's responses. Do you think white people can be trusted to tell our stories? Because one of the biggest, examples of that is, okay, so The Color Purple, which did well.
Yes.
Like, not the recent one, but just the Color Purple experience, the movie, the Broadway, then this film now. Steven Spielberg
directed it. Mm-hmm. And
so
he is.
Can white people be trusted to tell our stories, Terrell?
I'm going to say they.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to answer that because I think just like if I wanted to tell an Italian story or if I wanted to tell the story of a Russian, like my ideal of them would be skewed because I don't live in their lifestyle. I'm not a part of their culture. So I wouldn't be able to do justice to someone else's story. And I believe that's the same thing when you talk about white people writing Black stories. Even if you grew up in the same neighborhood, had all Black friends, all you did was hang around Black people, all you knew was Black people, at the end of the day, though you have similar experiences, you leave your neighborhood and go to another neighborhood, nobody would know the difference. Mm-hmm. And if I go to a different neighborhood, they're like, does he belong here? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is he supposed to be here? Like, there's a lot of questions going on. So it's like they can, I believe, with the guided hand of a Black person, sure. But if you like, it's all white and y'all like, yeah, we about to tell this story. You're like, what story y'all about to tell? First, let me know what story you tell it. So I can let you know that's not a good idea. Like, it's all, because like, just like all these things that happened, they were like, was there a Black person in the room when they were making this decision? Like, that's always a question. Was a Black person even in the room when they said this, or even thought of doing this, or thought this was a good idea? And it's hard for someone who doesn't have that same lived experience to come in and talk about a lived experience that they have no idea of how it's done, or you can only go by what you see, the stereotypes that you go by about what you see about Black people. You don't know the in-depth of there's layers to it. Not all Black people are the same. Just like not all white people are the same, but they could tell these nuanced stories about white people because they get input from those people. So I say without Black people giving that input, it's difficult for them to make our stories come out or make our stories make sense, because a lot of them, they just make them and it's like, that didn't make any sense, or that's not what would happen. Because like the way that they were talking, the way that the help were talking to these white people, I was like, I don't know if it would go down that way. I don't know. Y'all talking a lot of shit. Like, this is Mississippi. This ain't like Chicago where you like, I'm talking that shit and I'm go home. Like,
yeah, I agree, and I feel like going back to what Kayla said. I feel like it is a double-edged sword, because unfortunately, because of how things are, we do need white people to break down or help break down some of those doors, because they are the ones that are in the position to do so. But that being said, back to what you were saying, Terrell, like, with a guiding hand from a Black person, but then also that relegates a Black person to being a consultant on a Black project, and it's like, but then like the white director and filmmaker still gets the credit for telling our stories. But I'm not a filmmaker or in that industry, so I don't know another way around it. Like, not to discredit what you're saying, Terrell, because I think you're absolutely correct. But it's like, how do you correct that,
Right.
And I think like probably another great example of a kind of Black story that was severely mistold was Save the Last Dance. Y'all remember that movie, Save the Last Dance, with Julia Stiles?
Unfortunately, yes.
That was a white writer, and then they wrote it, and then it was like you could tell that this person was not Black, they were not young, and then like at the last minute they pulled in a Black writer, and it still fumbled. Like it was just bad.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's a movie I've only seen once, and I will never.
And once is way too many. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. I really don't have the answer for that, but yeah, I don't know. I think that probably they can't be trusted to tell our stories, but we still have to somewhat trust them to be able to do so. Because The Color Purple wouldn't have gotten nearly the attention, like the original movie wouldn't have gotten nearly the attention that it did without Spielberg being on Spielberg being on the project. And and then like, so I don't know if you guys remember, I know Kayla, this is before you were born, sorry boo-boo, but like Spike Lee got a lot of criticism because he spoke out about the film and it's white writer and it's depiction of Black men and all that stuff, and his career almost got like ruined because of that. And what to do? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a loaded question. And I mean, it's like there's nothing you really can do. I mean, whoever gives you the opportunity. I mean, you could say have more Black directors, which I think they are trying to do, because I believe what the director of the most recent Color Purple was Black, correct?
Oh.
I think he was, but I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. But I believe you putting Black people in those positions to make content, I believe that they can do a good job because they have that lived experience and they know how to work with other people and get things done. Even if you be like, okay, I'll bring you on, Black person is the director, and you have a white person being the co-director or whatever behind them.
Yeah.
Producer. I mean,
I think like in the last maybe decade or so, at least 5 to 8 years, there has been like this influx of really great and creative Black directors. Like, like I think of Ava DuVernay, a lot. Like, and the way she tells stories, like she did an amazing job, like sharing the experiences of Black sugarcane farmers in Queen Sugar, and like the way she told their stories with conviction and also with grace, and just, and I think like Issa Rae is another one, like a great writer with for Black experiences. And I think that now maybe if this film would have been presented today, it would have been a little different. I'm hoping. But like, especially because now the stars of the film, Octavia Spencer hasn't said a lot, but I know Viola Davis has been really vocal about her regret in starring in the film, and that it was, one of the things that, one of the roles that she kind of regrets taking, just because of the way it played out and how it wasn't from the perspective of the actual participants of the racism of Jim Crow South Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah. Deep South.
Deep South. I mean, because this is, the same state with Emmett Till.
Mm-hmm.
So do you mean to tell me what they did to Emmett Till, they wouldn't have done to these women?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we have any final thoughts or final questions? Or I have a final question, actually.
Ooh.
Who is the real villain of this film? Because it's presented that it would be Miss Hilly Holbrook, but
She was one of them.
Huh?
She was one of them. It was.
I also think is Eugenia Skeeter Phelan.
Oh, really? The savior?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, it's obvious that there's like, this white savior complex going on. Absolutely. But also there was 2 major turns where she exploited these women for their stories, their expertise, and their talents. The first one was with that whole column where she's like, I'm going to talk to Abilene and get the answers to these questions so I could write this column, this domestic maintenance column, and further my career. Like, you were literally passing this woman's information off as your own.
Yep.
And did not feel bad about it at all.
Nope.
So, it was like, you and your black fingers can't write it, so I'll write it.
Not you and your black fingers.
Your black fingers. And then the second part of the film where it's like, I'm now going to take your life story and I pass that off as my own.
Okay, but I'll send you back some checks. Y'all get happy about these checks.
Yeah. Here's $46. Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, $46 back then. That was a little come up.
It was.
That's out.
So
I don't know. The villain in the movie was racism itself.
Yeah, very true.
Because if you think about it, other than that, I mean, the people were doing what they knew.
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
But some people was going above and beyond. Because that one lady, she was like, I'm going to ruin you. I'm going to ruin you again. Like, she was just out there trying to just ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
She was extremely Voldemort. Like, she just kept popping up like, oh, you niggas is trying to live? Okay.
Wait a minute. Right. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, any final thoughts? Final questions? I don't know if y'all can tell, but I have enjoyed this cocktail.
I see, because you are almost eating the glass. I'm gonna need you to slow down, Chief.
I won't be slowing down. Well, I think it's time for best, worst, weirdest.
Yes.
Kayla, you first, babe.
I think the best was the shit pie scene, that was hilarious. When she finally read that book and figured it out and she was screaming, yeah, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. That was done really well. The worst was, yeah, I think it could have been rewritten a little bit better to give more to the women who were risking their lives to tell these stories to that white woman versus, us seeing it as a big benefit for her. And weirdest, I think the weirdest probably was it was very interesting to see like the dynamic between the white men and women, where it was like specifically when that the one lady asked Miss Hilly about $75 to send her son. And the guy was like, all right, I'm actually just gonna leave this conversation with you because he seemed like he would have done it probably, but he knew his wife. And so he decided to leave instead. And I was just like, that's very interesting because I feel like when we grew up, it was very much like the men were the heavy handed ones who were always like, no, never, not gonna happen. But that wasn't necessarily it in this movie. It was like the women really being the, whatchamacallit.
I will say about that character, I think it was interesting how they developed that character kind of behind under the radar, because he was like so weak when it came to that conversation, because he was like, all right, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
But then he was also, if you remember, he was the second choice of Hilly, because she had broken up with Celia Foots, the one who married Celia Foot, and he was like the consolation prize.
Right.
So that was interesting. But yeah.
Mm-mm.
So did you finish your best worst? That was your weirdest thing? Terrell, what about you?
Best part of this film, I thoroughly enjoyed the casting. I really like Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis as actors. They are excellent in everything that they do. They're never the reason that a film is bad.
100%.
Agreed. Absolutely.
100% agree.
And let's see. Best worst. Worst part of the film was it just didn't seem, as long as this movie was, because it was a really long movie. It was real Marvel. But it didn't really tell the complete story. And I just think they missed the opportunity to tell a story that had more teeth to it. This one was kind of like when you spoon feeding people instead of, giving them the real deal. And the weirdest part of this film was that it must have just been an unlimited supply of maids, because they was firing people left and right. And they was just like,
they were. Did you see all the women get on that bus?
I mean, but dang, I mean, sheesh. Every house had one. It was like,
but look at what they were paying them. Shoot, I could have one. I could have two now. They were paid. Evelyn was like, I get $183 a month.
But I can make that with my eyes closed.
Thank you. That like, now, okay, $103 for a maid to come every day, Monday through Saturday. Shoot, I give me two of them, I'll be living like a princess.
Yep.
Like, and it'd be that argument to where when people be like, well, like especially white people who really like today be like, I'm not privileged, I live a hard life now. Okay, but your ancestors, your Grammy and Grampy really had a come up. Like, they literally could do whatever they wanted to do because they had black maids in their homes taking care of their house and their kids. Like, you know what I could do with that time back? Oh my goodness. Like, I ain't got no kids and stuff, but like house maintenance really be trying to kill me. So it's It's crazy. But I'm go ahead, Terrell. I'm sorry.
No, I said it. That was it. That was it. It was just weird how they just kept like, it was like, oh, you fired. Or like, they didn't even fire. They said, you need to leave. I guess that's code word for you fired.
Yeah. Oh, and we really didn't even get into the issue of Skeeter's maid, Constantine.
Yeah, played by Cicely Tyson.
Cicely Tyson, one of her last few roles. Like, that was no, it wasn't crazy. It was typical.
About to say that was normal.
It was quite typical. But yeah. And even her, like, we really did not get a lot of scenes with her. We could tell, because we as Black people know the strength and wisdom that lies in older, like elderly Black people. So we knew it watching it. But like the normal mainstream audience really did not get a chance to experience like the strength and wisdom that came from a character like Constantine. All we got from her was, you can do it, Skeeter. You're beautiful, and don't you worry about what people say about you. And that was it. Like when they did that little flashback, that was it.
Yeah. And then when she got fired, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The flashback and when she got fired, I was like, dang.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And I would have really liked for there to at least have been a scene in the movie where it showed, because remember, Skeeter was supposed to write a chapter about her maid, but we really didn't get that. We just got, she did.
Yeah. And I'm like, but the reason they was like, she died of a broken heart. Like, was she died because she couldn't work for you no more? That's crazy. That shit is insane. I was like, oh, that's the only thing that threw me off when she said that. She died of a broken heart. Like, what? Because she couldn't clean up after y'all lazy asses no more? Oh, my God.
Pretty much. That was
That was crazy.
That is what happened.
Because she couldn't scoop out your pot of peas no more. Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
Oh goodness, yeah, Terrell. Yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah. Terrell, you stupid. But anyway, my best words where it is. I would say the best part of this movie, and really what attracted me to it, I like period pieces. So like the costuming is probably my favorite part. Like all of the vintage, well, I guess it would be vintage because it was, I don't know, whatever, y'all know what I mean. The costuming, like the dresses that the women wore, the hairstyles, even a small thing, even how they show Aibileen curling her wig to wear every day. To me, that was so beautiful, because like all of the older women that like with me and Terrell at church, we knew they was wigs, but they put them wigs on, they be so stylish. Because like Aunt Vivian, we knew what her hair looked like under that wig, but nobody else outside the family knew. Because she, that was just, to me, such an authentic but small part of the casting and like the character development. So, and even the maid uniforms were done really nice. And you would think, oh, a maid uniform is not that serious, but we know as Black people, the what's the word for it? The pride that they felt showing up to work, even though it was domestic labor. Those uniforms would be starched and clean and fit and tailored, like and even though they were doing that stuff themselves, they didn't have money to go to a tailor and make their uniforms pop, but they did that. They knew how to do that work at home, and it was just like, I feel like this movie did a really good job of showcasing how clean and how put together these maids were. and it just shows like the pride that these Black women felt doing this job.
Mm-hmm.
Though it was menial labor, they still took a lot of pride in it. I think the worst is just like I've said a million times in this episode, like just the inaccurate portrayal of how racism actually was. And the weirdest, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna actually pose it as a question because I meant to ask it before. My weirdest was, what did y'all think about how the film centers around the discussion of them using the toilet? Did y'all think it was absurd, or did y'all think it was important, or like what were y'all's thoughts? Troy, let's start with you.
About her using that toilet, I was like, bro, it's literally something going on out there. That ain't like, no, it ain't like, oh, it's sprinkling. You can get out there. Like, it was stuff flying across the yard. This lady was like, ooh, I wanted to go to the beach. Like, it was rough out there. She was like, ooh, the waves. I mean, I would have been like, nothing's going to happen to your toilet if I sit on it and use it. I promise you. It'll be A-okay. Because guess who's cleaning it? Me.
Yeah.
So if I use your toilet and they clean it right after, you'll be okay. You won't get the black on you.
Well, Hilly was like, they carry different diseases than we do.
I think it was meant to show like the absurdity, like the double standard. Like, I am raising your children, I'm cooking all of your meals. I touch everything in your house. But using it for myself is where you draw the line. Like, I clean it, I bathe your children, I change your children, I get them up, I get them fed, I cook all of your food. But because I use all of these things to benefit you, the moment I use it to benefit myself shows that we're the same. So I can't allow you to use the same bathroom as I do, because then that would make us equal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was definitely a power play. And I agree, Kayla. Like, it's definitely, I feel like that, well, I'm hoping it was an intentional choice just to show how absurd racism is. And because it was like, and if you know any of the history of like slavery, Black women were nursing white babies. Like, so I can kiss on your baby and they can drink my breast milk, but I can't use
better not
the toilet that I clean.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, really, really weird. And another thing, like in the film, did y'all notice that Abeeline's toilet didn't even have a sink in it? Like, her bathroom didn't even have a sink. Like, she used the bathroom and then she immediately came out. She pulled her panties and came out and picked up the May Mobley, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't wash her hands. And I'm like, you worried about me to go white ladies? So
they're lucky they got a toilet. It ain't just an outhouse.
Right. So yeah, that was my weirdest, just that portrayal of just absurd racism. But that is nothing new to us. Like, there's lots of just absurd occurrences. Like, we have been talking about before how Black people couldn't eat vanilla ice cream. Like,
right.
Because what? So, but yeah. Well, it's cocktail hour. Kayla, who you having a cocktail with?
Probably Minnie. She seemed like she needs the most.
And she would bring fried chicken. It'd be great.
Leave it, man, Leroy.
I don't know. Who would I have a cocktail with? I would have a cocktail with Abilene, I guess.
Okay.
Because I'm sure she has plenty of stories of working in this environment. But I wouldn't exploit her for her stories. I just want to listen to her stories.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna have a cocktail with y'all remember Henry, he was the short order cook and the waiter at the diner. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two black men in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I feel like he would be privy to a lot of stupid conversations had at that diner, and he'd be like, "Man, let me tell you, that's some bullshit."
I would agree.
So I would have a cocktail with Henry.
Okay.
Yes. So all right, Terrell, hit us up with one gotta go.
One gotta go.
It is time for our game where we take 4 concepts or movies or whatever and decide which one's
4
gotta
things. Go. Yeah, I tried to keep a theme going.
I saw you
in a rush.
You know, Green Book is one of the worst examples of a white movie that is presented as a black movie, but it's really a white movie.
Yep.
So, but Taylor, how about you? Which one gotta go? You go first.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Our principal is a terrible rendition of what actually happened with Green Books, and how that worked out. So I've seen Self-Made. It was pretty good. Fences was excellent. Even if I had to pick like which one I would rather watch, would be Fences.
Okay.
Well, which one gotta go?
No, I'm changing if we gotta go. I don't want
which one?
Yeah,
only
because,
one. Wow,
you know
only
what?
one can stay?
Yeah,
if only one could say, it would be Fences.
Fences
for sure.
Okay. All right. The reason I want to change it around is because I was listening to Willie D, and he was like, "They always talking about what's got to go and taking away what black people have done, even though you're not really taking it away, but just saying that you would take it away is like kind of erasing it. So I don't want to have it.
But is that not getting rid of 3?
No, it's not getting rid of 3. It's the one I prefer. I'll take this one. These other ones can stay. I'll take this one, and I'll go with that one.
I'm here for
so it doesn't degrade or put it up against somebody else's what they like. It'll just be okay. I prefer this one, so just like you go to Blockbuster back in the day, and you got 4 movies sitting there. You can only pick one. Your mom ain't gonna let you get 2 or 3 movies. You only get one. It's
True,
a $2.99
we were
special.
only able to get one.
Exactly. You had to pick one to go. So I mean, the other one had to stay maybe till next week or next month. So yeah, instead of one gotta go, you pick one that you want to take home to watch with your family.
All right. Well, which one you choosing, T-Rex?
I think I'm going to take Fences as well. The performances in Fences was just outstanding. Even though it's not a movie, I've only seen it once.
Down her nose.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she was in there acting.
I was standing there. Oh, man.
She was acting.
Powerful.
I'm going to keep The Help. Only because I really like this movie. It's a fun watch, despite the racism.
Fun time, despite the racism. Like, man, grab your popcorn. We about to go on a ride. Don't watch out for the racism, but other than that, you got to go.
It's gonna be a bumpy ride,
it's fun for all.
Well, I like this movie, and it's funny because I've seen The Help a million times to where I could like recite it, and a lot of the lines I know, like I could talk along with the movie, But yeah, the Fences is a little too artsy fartsy for me, and I liked it, not enough to watch it again, but I thought it was a powerful piece of cinema. But you could tell it is adapted from a stage play because it has that stage play feel. And I have not seen Green Book, but I have seen Self-Made. That was a series, right? That was a series about the Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah, C.J. Walker, yeah.
I have seen that. And I really like how they had it wasn't really, really strong, but they had a lot of the queer representation in there with her daughter. I thought that was really great. And yeah, so all of these films, except for Green Book, which I have not seen, so I can't really speak to that, are great. But The Help, I would keep only just for personal reasons because I've just seen it so many times. So yeah, that is what I would keep. Terrell, what you binging this week? What you got going on? What's on your TV this week?
See, I haven't been watching much TV again. NBA All-Star Weekend is going on this weekend. So I've been I watched the festivities yesterday, and it was okay. Could have been better.
Kayla, what about you, babe? What you watching? What you binging?
What am I watching?
Something Naruto Tarigachi jump move Tamagotchi?
Oh my goodness. Tamagotchi.
Not
Dragon Ball
quite.
Z.
It is anime. I could not tell you what it is though, because I done forgot. I started something new yesterday, and I have completely forgot what it was called. So come back while I look.
So Kayla's watching anime.
It's called Hell's Paradise. There we have it.
Okay.
And Classroom of the Elite. I was watching that too. Pretty good.
Well, I have not been binge watching anything because I don't know if I share, but usually every February I take a TV fast and I just don't watch any TV. The only TV I watched this month is when I watched The Help to get ready for this episode. So I just refocus my time on like projects around the house and projects for social media and all that stuff. So and reading. I've been reading a lot. So I've been reading these books. They're short books, and they're called Harper Harlow mystery series, and it's basically like The Good Witch written. I know. Mm-hmm. And I read the first book, and I was like, "This is so lame," but I was like curious as to what the characters are gonna do. And there's like 21 books in the series, and I'm on book 9.
You are strange.
I know.
So strange.
I know. I have my faults. And that's definitely one of them. So that's what I've been binging. Books. I've been binging books.
Yeah.
So
fundamental.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So any final thoughts? Anything? Any things to announce? Any things to share?
No.
Okay. Well, Terrell, take us on out.
Right. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. We had a great time discussing The Help, and we hope you enjoyed listening to our thoughts and insights. If you want to know more about Sips and Scripts, head over to our website, sipsandscripts.com, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sips and Scripts Podcast. We would love to hear from you, whether it's to suggest a film for us or to share your thoughts on today's episode, or maybe you want to say, hey, drop us a DM on social media. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Cling, cling, cling. What was those balloons? Balloons come from.
How you did it?
It's because I'm on my MacBook.
Oh.
Bye, y'all, with the secrets.